Shalom, and welcome to Hebrew Bible Secrets with your host, Rabbi Beaton. We are reading today from the book of Mark, starting at chapter 12. Book of Mark, chapter 12, verse 1. 1. And he began to speak to them by parables. A certain man planted a vineyard and set a hedge about it, and dug a place for the winepress, and built a tower, and let it out to husbandmen, and went into a far country. 2. And at the season he sent to the husbandman a servant, that he might receive from the husbandman of the fruit of the vineyard. 3. And they caught him and beat him and sent him away empty. 4. And again he sent to them another servant, and they wounded him in the head and sent him away shamefully handled. 5. And again he sent another, and him they killed, and many others, beating some and killing some. 6. Having yet therefore one son, his well-beloved, he sent him also last of them, saying, They will respect my son. 7. But those husbandmen said among themselves, This is the heir, come, let us kill him, and the inheritance shall be ours. 8. And they took him and killed him, and cast him out of the vineyard. 9. What shall therefore the master, Adonai, Lord of the vineyard, do? He will come and destroy the husbandman, and will give the vineyard to others. 10. And have you not read this scroll? The stone which the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. 11. This was Yahweh's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. 12. And they sought to lay hold on him, but feared the people, for they knew that he had spoken the parable against them, and they left him and went their way. 13. And they sent to him certain of the Pharisees and of the Herodians to trap him in his words. 14. And when they had come, they said to him, Rabbi, we know that you are true, and care for no man, for you regard not the position of men, but teach the way of Elohim in truth. Is it permissible, according to Torah, to give taxes to Caesar or not? 15. Shall we give or shall we not give? But he, knowing their hypocrisy, said to them, Why do you test me? Bring me a darius, that I may see it. 16. And they brought it, and he said to them, Whose image is this, an inscription? And they said to him, Caesar's. 17. And Yahshua answering to them, Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to Elohim the things that are Elohim's. And they marveled at him. 18. Then came to him the Sadducees, which say, There is no resurrection. And they asked him, saying, 19. Rabbi, Moshe, Musa, Rabbeinu, great teacher, wrote to us, If a man's brother die and leave his wife behind him, and leave no children, that his brother should take his wife and raise up seed to his brother. 20. Now there were 7 brothers, and the first took a wife, and dying left no seed. 21. And the second took her, and died, neither left any seed, and the third likewise. 22. And the 7 had her, and left no seed. Last of all, the woman died also. 23. In the resurrection, therefore, whose wife shall she be of them? For the 7 had her as wife. 24. And Yahshua answering said to them, Is this not why you make a mistake? Because you know not the scrolls, neither the power of Elohim. 25. For when they shall rise from the dead, they neither marry, nor are given in marriage, but are as the Malachim, the angels, which are in the Shamayim, the heaven. 26. And as touching the dead, that they rise, have you not read in the scroll of Moshe, Musa, how in the bush Elohim spoke to him, saying, I am the Elohim of Abraham, and the Elohim of Yitzhak, Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob. 27. And he is not the Elohim of the dead, but Elohim of the living. You therefore do make a mistake. 28. And one of the experts of the Torah came, having heard them reasoning together, and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, which is the first commandment of all? 29. And Yahshua answered him, the first of all the commandments is, Hear, O Israel, Yahweh is our supreme one, Yahweh is Akkad, one in unity. 30. And you shall love Yahweh, your power, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. This is the first commandment. 31. And the second is like it, namely this, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. 32. And the experts in the Torah said to him, Rabbi, you have said the truth, for he is Akkad, one in unity, and there is none other but he. 33. And to love him with all the heart, and with all the understanding, and with all the strength, and to love his neighbor as himself, is more than all whole burnt offerings and sacrifices. 34. And when Yahshua saw that he had answered wisely, he said to him, you are not far off from the kingdom of Elohim. And no man after that dared to ask him any more question. 35. And Yahshua answered and said, while he is taught in the Beth Hamikdash, the temple, how say the experts in the Torah that Messiah is the son of David? 36. For David himself said by the Ruach HaKadash, the set-apart spirit, Yahweh said to my master, Adon, Lord, sit on my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool. 37. David therefore called him his master, Adon, Lord. And how is he then his son? And the people heard him gladly. 38. And he said to them in his teaching, beware the experts of the Torah, who love to go in long clothing, and love salutations in the marketplaces. 39. And the chief seats in the Kohalim, and the uppermost rooms at feasts. 40. Which devour widows' Beaton houses, and for a pretense make long petitions. These shall receive greater judgment. 41. And Yahshua sat over against the treasury, and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. 42. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 copper coins, worth less than a penny. 43. And he called to him his disciples, and said to them, verily I say to you, that this poor widow has put more in than all they which have put into the treasury. 44. For all they did put in of their abundance, but she of her want did put in all that she had, even all her living. So that now brings us to the end of chapter 12. So let's go to the footnotes in chapter 12. So the first footnote we have is in verse 1. And he began to speak to them by parables. And a certain man planted a vineyard and set a hedge about it. Okay, so set a hedge. So let's have a look at this. We have here, so see footnote in Ecclesiastes 10 and 8. So let's have a look at Ecclesiastes 10 and 8 quickly. So Ecclesiastes 10 and 8 reads, he that digs a pit shall fall into it, and whosoever breaks a hedge, a serpent shall bite him. Okay, so we have a footnote for hedge, and that reads, The hedge, by the way, is Elohim's Torah, which is our protection, and the serpent is no other than Satan himself. When we break the hedge, that is, refuse to obey Torah, then we expect to be bitten by the serpent who wants to kill us. Okay, so the hedge is the Torah, that is your protection. By keeping the commandments, you are protected by Elohim. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 10. And have you not read this scroll? The stone which the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So we have here from Tefillin, Psalms 118, 22 and 23. So let's have a look at that quickly. Psalm 118, 22 and 23. So we have here 22. The stone which the children despised has become the cornerstone. And 23 reads, this is Yahweh's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. Okay, so we have a footnote for the stone which the children despised has become the cornerstone. So let's have a look at this cornerstone. So we have the footnote here for the cornerstone, which reads, the stone that the prophet Daniel spoke about, Daniel 2:35, that became a mountain, allegorically fits the Messiah, Yahushua. Okay, so this is talking about Yahushua. Okay, the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 14. And when they had come, they said to him, Rabbi, we know that you are true, and care for no man, for you regard not the position of men, but teach the way. So let's have a look at this, teach the way. So we have here, the way is an idiomatic expression for the Torah of Moses, used in the same way in Yehochanan, John 14 and 6. So let's have a look at John 14 and 6 quickly. John 14 and 6. John 14 and 6 reads, Yahushua said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Av but through me. Okay, so we have a couple of footnotes here. So we have a footnote for I am the way. So let's have a look at this. The way here means Torah pointing back to the written Torah in Genesis 24:40, and Psalm 1 and 6, Psalm 2 and 12, and Psalm 18 and 13. Another way to look at it is I am Yahweh. Okay, so you've got some other reference points there to go and have a read. Genesis 24:40, Psalm 1 and 6, Psalm 2 and 12, and Psalm 18 and 13. Okay, so we have another footnote here for the truth. So the truth, and we have here idiomatic for Torah, found in Psalms 119, 142, and Psalm 40 and 10, among many references. So you can go and look at those as well. And we have one last footnote, and the life. The life is also a reference to Torah keeping, directly from Deuteronomy 30 and 19, Deuteronomy 32:47 and Proverbs 6:23. So you could go and reference those and have a read. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote. So the next footnote we have is in verse 21. And the second took her and died. So the second took her. So let's have a look at this. So this is levirate marriage is commanded polygamy. When a brother died, the other brother would take the widow as his wife to raise sons for the dead brother. So this can be read about in Deuteronomy 25:5. Many in the East still practice this commandment as it is still valid today. Okay, so go and read Deuteronomy 25:5. Okay, for more information on that. Okay, so the next footnote we have in verse 23. In the resurrection, therefore, whose wife shall she be of them? For the 7 had her as wife. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So the 7 had her as wife. So we've got here Matthew 22:30. So let's have a look at Matthew 22:30. So Matthew 22:30 reads, For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as Malachim, angels in Shamayim, in the heavens. Okay, so we have a footnote here for Malachim, which is angels. Yahshua was clear that while people are being raised, marriage will not be an issue, as the resurrection will be like the twinkling of an eye. It will be very fast, in a split second, at that time. But people in the kingdom will marry and be given in marriages. The questioner did not ask, will they have wives in the kingdom? But they asked, what would happen in the resurrection? Yahshua put them on the right path, that you will be like Malachim, angels, because we will fly like them at the time of our resurrection. But once we are raised and established in Israel, we will have wives and children. Okay? So we also have a footnote for Shamayim, and it reads, the manuscripts miss out or omit of Elohim. Okay? So that's the footnote, Matthew 22:30. So let's go to the next footnote. Which is in verse 25. For when they shall rise from the dead, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as Malachim, which are in Shamayim. Okay, so nor are given in marriage. So let's have a look at this quickly. This only applies during the resurrection and not when we are in the kingdom. For in the millennium, marriages will take place. Yeshayahu 4:1, Isaiah 4:1 shows that the ratio will be 7 women to 1 man. So biblical polygamy and monogamy will be restored as prescribed by Torah. Okay, so go and read Isaiah 4:1 to get a better understanding about the ratio. 7 women to 1 man. So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 26. And as touching the dead, that they rise, have you not read in the scroll of Moshe, Musa, how in the bush Elohim spoke to him, saying, I am the Elohim of Abraham, and the Elohim of Yitzhak, Isaac, and the Elohim of Yaakov. So we have a footnote for Yaakov. So it says, they are alive in the kingdom, hence we do not see them yet. So they are alive. So we're talking about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, they are alive in the kingdom, and obviously when we all return to the kingdom, we will see them again, or we will see them for the first time. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 30. And you shall love Yahweh your power with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. This is the first commandment. Okay, let's have a look at this. So Yahushua recited a well-established Pharisaic tradition, B-E-R 13b, showing he kept these. So Yahushua was obviously also keeping the commandments, yeah? So let's go to the next footnote. And the expert in the Torah said to him, Rabbi, you have said the truth, for he is Akkad, one in unity. So let's have a look at this, one in unity. The text does not have, for there is one Elohim, but has, he is one. Okay? So let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 38. And he said to them in his teaching, beware of the experts in the Torah, who love to go in long clothing, and love salutations in the marketplaces. So we have here a footnote, see Matthew 23 and 7. So let's have a look at Matthew 23 and 7 quickly. So Matthew 23 and 7 reads, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, my great one, my great one. So we have a footnote for my great one. Let's have a look at this. In the first century, the issue was not calling someone a rabbi. This was a respectful title for a teacher of the Torah. They started to use the term that had come to mean my great one, which was a reserved definition for the set-apart one of Israel, Yahweh. But using this term was the problem. Using Rabbi was fine. To this day, has no problems. In the first century, during the time of Yahushua, a group within the ranks of schools of Shammai had taken precedent, and they loved to be called by these titles. They said, whatever we said is as if it is from above. They refused to negotiate with any Gentile. Hence, we see great tensions arose between Roman authorities and these people. They also hated Yahushua and his miracles, while the school of Hillel supported Yahushua. Christians have greatly stumbled over this and misunderstood this. All these words mean is my teacher. In fact, Yahushua makes us rabbis in the future kingdom. See the footnote in Matthew 5:20. When you call someone my great one, you are taking credit for things of Yahweh. That would be blasphemous. Some of the rabbim in the first century had tried to do this, which caused tensions. But there were many good rabbim in the first century too. This is the tension between the school of Hillel, who were very meek and pious Pharisees, and the school of Shammai, which had some die-hard fundamentalist types of people. Okay, so that gives you a more understanding of what my great one means. As if you're saying, you are, my great one, you are Yahweh, or you're taking, credit for things that Yahweh has done. Okay, so this is what was going on in the second century. Okay, so let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 40. Which devour widows, Beaton, houses, and for a pretense make long petitions, these shall receive greater judgment. Okay, so let's have a look at this greater judgment. We have a footnote for that. And it says, see Matthew 23:14. So Matthew 23:14 reads, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you devour widows, Beaton, houses, and for pretense make long petitions. Therefore you shall receive the greater judgment. Okay, so we have a footnote for the greater judgment, and this reads, this entire verse is missing in the eyewitness accounts of Matthew. Therefore, this particular verse should be ignored, both in Luke and Mark, who are not eyewitness accounts. And also note, this is not part of any original reading of the manuscripts. A similar reading exists in Mark 12 and 14 and Luke 20 and 47. We have left this in for completeness. This does not mean the Pharisees were going to hell, which is sadly a wrong projection unto the Hebrew nation. The judgment Yahushua spoke about is earthly and not eternal. He is not God to decide the fate of the Yahudim in the world. Christendom has made him God, which he is not. While the course the church has taken is for all the Yehudim to be going to hell or to be hellbound, and for them, Torah breakers, to be in the Shamayim, the heavens. Nothing can be further from the truth. Yahweh does not send Torah keepers to hell, no matter how mechanically they keep the commandments. He does expect a right heart attitude from all. Okay? So that now brings us to the end of chapter 12, and I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the other side. This is Rabbi Beaton saying thank you for watching, and Shalom Shalom. Baruch Shem Kivod Malkuto Leolam Va'ed. Benevolent be the name of his esteemed kingdom, forever and ever and ever. Amen.